Solar PVcast by Shift, a podcast exploring solar energy and the role it plays in improving our lives and our planet. Here's your host, Chris Palliser.
Thank you for joining another episode of the Solar PVcast. It is Chris here. It's brought to you by Shift for all your solar and energy storage needs. Make sure you visit shift.ca. Solar beer is better. I love that tagline. And that's what this whole episode is going to be about. We've joked about it in my circle about having a beer, a solar beer, if you will. Well, it's actually happening. It's one of Canada's first completely solar-powered breweries. It's called Our Brewery in Ontario. And joining us on the podcast right now is the owner, the president, the founder, the man behind it all, Phil Audet. Thank you so much for joining the podcast, Phil.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you have done it. You have a brewery that is completely powered by the sun. How did this idea come about? What's your background? How did you get to where you are today?
Well, I mean, I have a background in sustainable energy. So I went to school in Ireland and studied sustainable energy engineering. I also used to own a solar installation company called Ontario Solar Experts, and was installing grid-connected systems, off-grid systems across Eastern Ontario. And, I've got a passion for craft beer, saw the craft beer movement sort of expanding in Ontario, and sort of thought to myself, hey, what if we could combine these two passions into one and do something as crazy as opening up a solar-powered brewery?
And you did it. When did you guys open?
Yeah, we opened July 2022.
Okay, and so far it is, so that's 2022. You've been through that. You've been through a couple winters, and it's working.
Yeah, it's certainly been an adventure, a lot of learning always. We're working with Mother Nature, so it can be challenging, but always learning new things, and it hasn't been easy. And I want to highlight too that it's very experimental what we're doing. So we're always adapting, always finding new ways to make it work better, and we're always expanding our solar capacity as well, our inverter capacity, etc.
Give us a breakdown on the system. Now, I think I also read you don't have a generator. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'll touch on that a little bit more in a sec. But in terms of the setup on the solar equipment, we've got 32 400 watt panels right now, which is about 12.8 kilowatts DC of power, and we're using the Solark 12K inverter charge controller setup. So we can pump out about 9,000 watts AC, and we can charge with about 12,000 watts of DC solar power. But we're finding that that's not quite enough. As we try to expand, we're adding on more loads, more refrigeration loads, etc. We find that, hey, you know what, that's not quite enough power. So now we're looking at expanding on the equipment for sure.
Now you're off grid, is that right?
Yeah, we're totally off grid. We have no connection to hydro whatsoever. We're completely off the grid. So I'll touch on the generator because you mentioned that. So the first year we operated throughout the winter without a generator, but this past winter, I had no choice but to run the generator probably about 5 times for a few hours. I had no choice.
Okay. I mean, still 5 times for a few hours and you're running a brewery. That's pretty good.
For sure. It was unfortunate, and I didn't, that's the last thing I want to do. I pride myself on being off grid and running off solar power, but it was either get the generator to run for a few hours or not operate that day at all. So I was between a rock and a hard place, and I had no choice to do it. But again, we're adding on more solar. We're even looking at wind power now, so that we don't have to run the generator in the future. So again, it's experimental. We're always, coming up with new solutions and growing and expanding. So
what about energy storage?
Yeah, so in terms of the batteries, we've got 8 5-kilowatt batteries for a total of 40 kilowatt hours of storage, and they're all lithium ion. They're Volthium batteries. I'm not sure if you're familiar. It's a company out of Montreal. We're working with about 40 kilowatts. Again, we want to expand the storage as well as we expand the PV side too. So,
but I mean, you are still doing it, minus the first winter, like you said, you had to turn it on a couple times last winter, but you're doing it and you have a lot of options on the menu. You've got pizza and the people are coming. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So our business model is pretty simple. We do, wood-fired pizza and beer. and we try to do a good job at both. And, we try also to do special events. We have open mic every Friday. We do live music on the weekends in the summer, and that sort of brings the people in. We have our regulars, which has been good as well. So, we always try to stay relevant and be as innovative as possible, not just on the energy side, but also on the way we do business as well.
What are the business hours?
So we're open currently Thursday to Sunday, 12 to 8 p.m. But in the summer, it goes Wednesday to Sunday, 12 to 8 p.m. So, and we're pretty happy with that right now. We have a lot of tourists in the area, and so we're able to, we can afford to be open 5 days a week.
Yeah, you're operating a full-on 5-day-a-week business, and I guess with wood-fired pizza, that's smart because that's you're using wood fire. You're not using any electricity for that, so that's obviously part of the plan. What about your heating in the winter? Do you use the wood fireplace?
So just to be clear, we still heat with propane.
Okay.
The building itself, we kind of have no choice, to be frank. Really, I mean, what we do that's quite interesting is we have a heat pump that we use when we have extra power. So what we do is we turn the heat pump on and we blast heat into the building. So we offset propane that way. And we also have other electric heaters that we can turn on to, offset the amount of propane that we need to heat the building. But to go 100% heating in this part of Ontario with solar, it would require, it's possible, but in terms of, financial investment, that's another step for us. Yeah. So I guess what I would say is our project has many different small projects in it. So we wanted to start off the minimum viable setup. And for us, that was, the 13 kilowatt setup that we have. And then now it's like, okay, what's the next project? Like, what can we do next? So now it's like, how can we offset more propane to heat the building? More solar, some solar thermal, maybe some wind power, that kind of thing. So that's part of, the next phase of the projects is to continue getting closer to completely eliminate propane so that we can heat with renewables.
Yeah. And I mean, here in Canada, it is expected that you need another way to generate heat. Because solar, as good as it is here, you still need, whether it's, a wood pellet heater in the winter, propane as you're using. And even usually we're finding with off-grids, December, January, you need to use the generator. But the fact that, that's just on a regular off-grid home. The fact that you're running a business and using it as less as you are is still a massive win.
Yeah, I mean, I will say one thing. There are some advantages to having cold weather. One thing we do that's really interesting here to offset the amount of power we need in the winter is our cold room, we have a fan that sucks cold air from outside to cool down the beer.
Perfect.
So instead of, it's honestly so simple, but you wonder why other businesses aren't doing this. So our cold room, typically we'd be running a compressor, like a refrigeration compressor, which would pull about 2,000 watts of power. Well, instead of using 2,000 watts, I'm just sucking cold air from outside and I'm using about 120 watts. So it's super efficient. We're using the cold air to cool down the beer. It's also very dry air, so it's low humidity, which is good as well. Another thing we're doing to cool down our beer tanks is we have a glycol loop, which is an antifreeze solution that goes outside. So we're transferring heat through the coil outside with the winter cold air. And we don't have to run, super taxing equipment that's going to, pull all the power out of our batteries. So there are some gains on the refrigeration side in the wintertime, which is very interesting. And we went with an in-floor heating system with the thought of in the future, it's a propane boiler that circulates hot water through the floor. But the thought with that is that we could add solar thermal in the future and circulate hot antifreeze through the floor. So we can, the cement slab is actually a thermal battery. So during the day, we could heat the floor and store some of that thermal mass in the floor with the heating system and the coils.
Amazing. And I mean, that's what it's all about. I've had a few off-grid conversations on here. And when you're looking at renewable energy, specifically solar and wind and things like that, you're just using what's available to you. So I think it's brilliant, and it makes so much sense. It's so simple that it's cold outside. Why don't we just effectively store our product outside? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And we're just all I did was install a few different sensors on the existing cooling system. So it's still using the same thermometer. And once it hits set point, it just turns off the fan. So it's It's so simple.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder why other businesses are not doing this. Like, why would
Yeah.
you run a compressor in the wintertime? You're throwing power away essentially,
Yeah.
which is crazy to me.
And
Yeah,
it's all in the design, right? So I think it's brilliant that from the get-go you have to have the mindset that you had. It's like, this is how we're going to do this, okay? Yeah, winter. That's how it was done thousands of years ago. You when the
Mhm.
sun was up, that's when you used energy, and when it was nighttime, that's when everything shut down.
Exactly. And when you're off grid, it's interesting how you build a relationship with Mother Nature and the weather, and it's a really interesting thing, because if you have to have a good relationship with weather and nature. If not, it doesn't work. So it's really unique the way it's changed me, just doing this for almost 2 years now. It makes you think of things differently, like always checking the weather, checking the radar. Like, is that cloud going to clear at this time so that we can get those few kilowatt hours so that we can get to the next day? Or do I need to turn off some loads just so we can make it to the next day? There's all these decisions are happening while running the business at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Because we're not just a brewery, we're actually a brew pub. So we're kind of like a restaurant brewery. So like we actually have people we could have 100 people in here.
Wow.
Hanging out, and we do open mic and that kind of thing. And so it's been really interesting. It hasn't been easy. It'd be a lot easier just to connect to the grid and not have to worry, but the challenge has been really, really fun. And
yeah,
so it makes me feel alive.
Yeah, well, and that's just it. And I got to ask you, working with Mother Nature, watching that cloud, do you feel I feel like in life we're always working against Mother Nature. We're like, oh, it's got to be sunny, or it's so cold outside. You know what I mean? Do you feel that Mother Nature is more frustrating for you, or do you appreciate it more being in this position you're in?
I would say it's a love-hate relationship.
Right.
For example, when you need the power and you know you're not going to get it, it adds some layers of stress for sure. There's some
Right.
decisions that have to be made that are not optimal. But in a way, it's a beautiful thing when the sun does come out and you see the kilowatts coming in. It's such an amazing feeling. So it's a hate-love relationship for me, really. Like, today's a sunny day here in Ontario, and it's so awesome to see the batteries fully charged by like 10 a.m. It's great. So
Yeah.
now batteries are full, so I just turn everything on. We're just blasting heat in the building right now, and it's all coming from the sun. My heat pump is pretty efficient right now too, so I'm just heating the whole place up. It's still fairly cold in Ontario. I'm not sure what it is over there, but it's still decently cold this time of year right now. So
Okay. So yeah. I mean, that's it though. That's what an off-grid life is. The sun is shining, so I'm going to get my power tools out. I'm going to use all kinds of energy because it's there, just waiting for me to use. So let's crank the heat. When you built the building, were you thinking, it sounds like obviously but insulation and kind of planning for all that?
Definitely, for sure. Insulation is obviously a big part of it, but also on the electrical side, there's been a lot of different considerations. For example, like all of the loads in the building, or almost all the loads, are controllable from my cell phone, from an app. So I can turn stuff on and off from my phone, which
Awesome.
gives me flexibility when I'm off grid. Say I'm not on site, I could be in the Caribbean on vacation, and I can turn things on and off from my phone. I've got cameras facing my solar panel, so I can see, is there snow on the panels, or is it a sunny day? I can monitor everything, and that gives me flexibility in the sense that instead of turning on a generator, we could probably afford to turn XYZ off to avoid the need of the generator till the next day. So having that flexibility to turn things on and off is been really interesting, and changing the set points, etc. Like, if you know you're going to have sun tomorrow and it's been a really bad day today, well, I could probably turn a few things off knowing that I can turn them on tomorrow for a full day.
Yeah. And like you said, you're also running a business, so you're constantly making these decisions, eh?
Oh my God. Yeah. It's been crazy. And having a generator, it would be a lot easier. Like, it's been pretty stressful just trying to manage things, not only managing a team of various employees, just, managing power, like just operating the facility so that it works properly. Like, we've had some instances where we've never actually, that's not true. One time we were doing a concert. We had like an outdoor thing. It was our 1 year anniversary last summer. but it was a really bad day. It was really dark for a few days. We had not a lot of sun, and the band was playing late at night. And anyways, the band I think they had just finished, and the power turned off. We ran out, and we couldn't check people out properly at the POS system because there was no power. But then I found out that the setting on the batteries I could have allowed the batteries to go down another 10%. So that was on me. But just little things like that. Like we cut it close sometimes.
Right.
But
wow.
that's what gets me excited. That's what this project is all about. We don't want to be a typical brewery. We're not interested in that. That's boring. We want to do something different and push the limits of what technology can do in the renewable space. So
yeah, and like you said, that's what an adventure, man. And like you said, you're learning every time. Now you know the next solar concert. Okay, I'm gonna make sure we do this, this, and this, and we'll be good to go. Because that's what it's all about. Yeah. We can live this way. It's just a matter of relearning how to do it.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And it's a beautiful thing to be going through this process because it gives you an appreciation for these kinds of things, you know, like it's okay to turn things off once in a while, you know, like you don't need all these things on all the time. So it's been really fun. It's been a really cool experience. And like when we started, we had 2 batteries. We had like 10 kilowatt hours of storage, and then we added another 20, and then another 20, then another 20. Now we're at 40, and now we're like, okay, now we need more. Yeah. So it's always changing, always growing, always pivoting, always coming up with new solutions or new ideas. And now we're looking at wind power because in the wintertime, not a lot of sun, but a lot of wind. So we're like, okay, how can we do this? So it's just a new
wow. What about the staff? I mean, it's such an education working there as well, I would imagine. Do you find the staff is really on board and they're really into this and they're learning?
Yeah, 100%. The staff are definitely educated on it. Like we've set things up at our brewery so that the equipment, the inverter, charge controller, batteries are all very accessible to the public so they can see the technology and see how it works. Instead of hiding them in the mechanical room, we've got it all on a wall on display. So we get a lot of questions and a lot of people asking. So the staff is definitely, you know, well versed on how things work, and I would like to think they're fairly, you know, excited about it as well. I think it's pretty cool. We're not a typical place in that sense, and you know, but sometimes it's not perfect. I'll give you an example. Like last weekend, we were running some equipment, and when things turn on all at the same time, it can stress the inverter out and it can blow the breaker. So that's what happened. I wasn't on site, and we're out of power for half an hour because they turned too many things on. So there's always something that can, you know, happen. But we're always, yeah.
That's owning a business, man, and a solar business at that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, obviously, just the way you're talking about it, you love this, hey?
Oh, I love it so much. Yeah. I mean, like I said, you have to, like, when you do something like this, I think you have to really want it because it'd be a lot easier to tie to the grid and have a normal setup and be, you know, but this is a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And it's fun to test the limits of technology. And yeah, we were always testing more. We have like little experimental projects as well that we do here too, just to try different things and see what we can make of it. And yeah,
that's great. What about, I saw on the website you guys do solar concerts. Was that just the 1 year celebration, or is that something you're trying to get into like a venue as well?
No, so I guess when we opened, one of the things we were saying to people is like, hey, this is like a solar, like in a way, like this is, well, not in a way, it's what it was. It's a solar powered concert that we're basically having. Mm-hmm. So we kind of promoted that and sort of pushed it to the public in that way. Yeah. But we don't do it regularly per se, have like a solar powered concert, but that's something that we could probably do. And there could be definitely a play on that for sure.
Yeah. I've seen that term solar concerts come up more and more in my life lately. So it's like, it's this, really? Yeah, it's like a trend. I feel like that is starting to happen. People, you know, having these concerts. I guess you got to, you know, you can have them more in the day. I guess what about that? Being a pub, usually it's open till 2 a.m., but obviously being solar powered, you have to alter your hours, eh?
Well, we can do it late. Like we can do it late for sure. Like our open mics / karaoke goes on. Well, it's supposed to end at 10, but it's gone till 1 a.m. before without any issues. I mean, if we're low, to be honest with you, like the audio equipment is not actually pulling that much power. So it's not too taxing on the inverter and the batteries. It's refrigeration loads at night kind of thing in the summertime that are a little bit heavier, and the ice machine that's using a refrigeration compressor as well, that kind of stuff.
You probably know like everything and what everything is drawing, hey?
Yeah, like I closely monitor. I have an app for everything, so I can, like I said, I can turn things on and off, and I can see, you know, the power coming in, power going out, state of charge. I can follow the graph. What was really cool recently actually was during the eclipse. You could really spot the dip in the graph when we had the eclipse here in Ontario. That was really fun.
You guys, were you in the path of totality?
Totality, 100%, yeah.
Wow, yeah. So what was that experience like?
It was one of the coolest experiences ever. So it was on Monday, which is not typical opening hours for us, but we decided to stay open and we kind of promoted it. And we had a full house of people, and we turned on the patio lights when it was, you know, fully dark, and it was just a really cool vibe. And yeah, like why not be at a solar brewery on a solar eclipse, I guess.
Oh, goosebumps, man. Yeah, that oh, what a cool experience to market as well from a business standpoint.
No, it was really cool. Honestly, like it was, I have no words for it. It was, I can't even explain what it felt like. It was just really cool. It got really dark and really cold all at once, and we just turned the music off, put the lights on, and just had a moment of appreciation for it. And it was really cool. And I posted the next day just the monitoring, showing the dip, and then when the sun came back on like when the sun came back, you could really see the dip, and it was just really cool to just kind of like the software was able to catch that. So it was kind of cool to talk about that and post about it, and people were like, "Oh, that's so cool." But yeah, it's a bit nerdy, I guess, to follow all these things all day. But I love it.
No, that's why you're doing it. You're the perfect combination of nerdy and cool brewery and all of that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. No, but it's it's been fun.
Yeah,
it's been a dream for many years.
And the brew tanks, I don't know a ton about brewing beer, but the brew tanks and everything are supported, obviously. Do they draw a lot?
So the biggest draw is refrigeration, like keeping the beer cold. So we have a bit of an experimental setup here where we've got 3 different chillers. So we can turn one on if it's, say, a cloudy day. We can turn 2 on if it's like semi-cloudy, semi-sunny. And then if we have full sun, we can fire all 3 engines on and get maximum cooling. So we can kind of look at the forecast and work with Mother Nature and plan a little bit accordingly. It's not always perfect. Like it can be quite experimental. Like and it is. But like right now we're running on 1 chiller, and it is a sunny day, but we're at temperature, so it can just run on the 1 chiller and we're good, and it's been working okay. But it's not perfect. I will say that it's not perfect. There are lots of challenges, and as we grow and get more, you know, make more money with our business, we're reinvesting in more technology so that we can support more demand as we grow.
Yeah. And I guess ultimately it will be about finding that balance between growing the energy storage, growing the panels, but also still, you know, keeping the business that you want it to be, and living kind of like we talked about, living with Mother Nature, not against it.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
No, it's
I mean,
I feel go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I think it's an amazing leap of faith you've taken, and your transparency is great, because you're right, it's not perfect. We're all trying to figure out how to get back to living that simpler life, right? Constantly, everyone's talking about balance. How do we live with Mother Nature? So,
for sure,
you know, congrats to you and the team. The beer, man. We gotta shout out some beer here. Can people buy it online?
They can. We're technically not allowed to ship to other provinces. Okay. It's the way that the regulations are in place. But we do sell it here in Ontario. We have our 1 SKU. Actually, I've got it right here with me right now. This is our New England IPA. And so what's really cool about this series that we're doing, it's called Soundcraft. So we partner with up-and-coming musicians, and we put their basically their album cover on the can.
Oh, cool.
So we're promoting them, they're promoting us. You can scan the QR code, listen to their music, and it's just kind of a cool collab that we're doing. And we've got about 4 different beers that we do this with. And so, this one is available at the LCBO here in Ontario.
Do you package in-house as well, or is that sent out?
Yeah, so we just keg it in-house, but we do get it canned elsewhere right now.
Right.
Just because canning lines are a little bit pricey. So we get it canned. Outside for that.
Yeah.
And so, and for more volume too, we're just small batch here.
Yeah.
For the time being, as we grow, we will do more. But for now, we do a little bit of the canning outside.
I'm just checking out the website right now. You have many options, hey?
Yeah, we got a few different ones. Something for everyone, I think.
Summer Blonde, the one that, how do you say that? The NEPA?
New England IPA.
Oh yeah, New England. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's great. Citra Punk West Coast IPA in the house, Belgian wheat, session lager, low lager, and then the So Brew, of course, non-alcoholic. Everyone's on board for that these days.
Sure.
I was thinking when I was talking with my friends about we need to brew. I was thinking like a Solar Saison or something. Something nice like that. Yeah, that's great. What's the website?
Steal that.
Yeah, do it.
I'm just kidding.
Do it. Hey, Solar PVcast beer.
Ooh.
Right?
Maybe
there's something there. Website, ourbrewbeer.com, yeah?
You betcha. Yeah, exactly. And we're also on Instagram. You can do hashtag, so ourbrewbeer on Facebook and Instagram.
Very cool. And on the website too, you can book experiences, private events, RV sites. You got camping out there?
Yeah, so we partner with Harvest Host, and it's basically an app where you can stay the night as long as you come buy a few beers and support us in some way with like a minimum spend of say $20, and you're welcome to stay the night in your RV. So yeah. Very
cool. I road trip to Ontario, and where in Ontario? Mallory, Ontario. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we're in Mallorytown. It's a tiny little village. We're right off the 401 highway between Brockville and Kingston, and it's about an hour and a half, an hour and 15 south of Ottawa.
Okay. Oh man, I was in Ottawa a few months ago. God.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to get back.
Next time.
Yeah, I'll have to get back. Very cool. Well, I mean, the mission to create sustainable, delicious beer using renewable technology completely off-grid. You have your good days and your bad days, but you're doing it. Amazing, Phil.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for joining the Solar PVcast, and we'll have to do an update maybe in a year when there's some more beers and maybe some more panels. And solar concerts are every Friday.
Exactly. Hey, that's what we all hope. So no, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure to be on here. Thanks for the opportunity. And, look forward to staying in touch.
The Solar PVcast by Shift with Chris Palliser. To begin your solar journey, visit shift.ca.